reporting a big win today. Of course, this win is a setback for the environmental minister, uneven Stephen Gibo. The federal court just overturned Ottawa's single-use plastic ban. Global News reporting on this. The federal court just overturned Ottawa's single-use plastic ban. All those straws, forks, knives, sporks, whatever you want, plastic single-use containers. How about those shopping bags? The shopping bags, you know, we've been all fumbling with our shopping every time we go out to a shop. I know in British Columbia, they have this really, it's an asinine thing. Every time I go to a store, it asks me, how many bags would you like with that on the self-checkout, because we don't have real people checking out our stuff anymore at these stores. But of course, no bags available. The federal court overturned Canada's ban on single-use plastic on Thursday, deeming the policy unreasonable and unconstitutional. The decision found that the classification of the plastics in the cabinet order was too broad to be listed on a list of toxic substances in Schedule 1, and the government's acted outside of its authority. There is no reasonable apprehension that all listed plastic manufactured items are harmful, the decision read. Amazing. Finally, we're getting something good out of the court systems here in Canada. Maybe a small win, but it is a win in the right direction. The decision has essentially quashed the cabinet order that placed plastic manufactured items such as plastic bags, straws, and takeout containers as toxic under the Canadian Environmental Protection Act. Now, this warms my heart, and it's actually a good step in the right direction, because, you know, we're looking at an appeal over the order in council that banned firearms in Canada. And well, we're gonna see that go up to a higher court, and hopefully we'll see something like this. Unconstitutional? What are you kidding? You telling me that you can just single-handedly, as a dictator, order in council, just deem that these things are no good anymore? They're no good for you. Banned. Undone, or totally just eliminate them from the market. And of course, largely unpopular here in Canada, as people have been trying to sip through paper straws, deal with all these items that just fall apart in your hands. A paper straw is not going to last you very long at all. Environmental Minister Stephen Gibo said in a statement that the federal government is strongly considering an appeal. I'm going to get to his statement in a little bit. We're going to get to that. Regulations banning plastic items are already being phased in. You know, because this was an order in council. In British Columbia, good luck finding any plastic. With a ban on manufacturing and importing 6 different categories already in place, and a full ban of their sale and export planned by the end of 2025. Well, you could say goodbye to those plans, and hopefully we can get back to some real sense. And you know what? Not a lot of these things are actually finding themselves into the waterways and things like that, as most people were concerned about. In fact, I've heard more reports about masks, COVID masks in the water, in oceans and all over the place. I've heard much more news of that, because people seem to feel very okay about littering with COVID masks. But in Canada, we just generally don't litter. And in fact, good luck finding any plastics from Canada in the ocean, because you won't find that. The stuff that washes up on our shores is most likely from other countries that have poor waste management systems. And, you know, we could be probably better with our waste management in terms of what we do with our waste, perhaps incinerating and creating energy out of it. But nonetheless, we cap it and we stick it in landfills. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said in a statement that the decision demonstrates a continued pattern of federal overreach intended to subvert the constitutionally protected role and rights of provinces, and that the ban has had wide-ranging consequences for Alberta's economic interests. She said the ban puts thousands of jobs and billions of investments at risk. Now, Prime Minister Trudeau famously said recently this.
Climate policy is economic policy.
Yeah, well, you could be an idiot all at the same
Climate
time. But that's this guy. Yeah, climate policy is economic policy. We've seen where that's taken us in the past several years. But what did he say a bunch of years ago when they were working on this, trying to ban this stuff? What was him and his family going to do instead of drinking out of water bottles? A reporter asked.
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of a plastic, away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles sort of things.
Yeah, okay, anyway, let me know in the comments down below if you've seen Trudeau drinking out of a paper plastic drink box water bottle sort of thing in any time since this press conference, because I haven't seen it. I've seen him all over the place drinking out of plastic water bottles, the same thing that he's been trying to ban. Roman Baber taking to Twitter to say another liberal overreach and blow to Trudeau's socialist minister of the environment. Of course, he labeled himself a socialist recently, a proud socialist, by the way. But this is obviously Global News breaking the story as well. Stephen Gibo taking to Twitter to give his statement on the federal court's recent ruling. On Thursday, November 16th, 2023, statement by Stephen Gibo, Minister of the Environment and Climate Change Canada. They changed that in 2015 for people that are been under a rock all this time. But yeah, it's now the Minister of Environment and Climate Change Canada. Canadians have been loud and clear. They want to keep plastics out of their environment. What I've heard loud and clear is, give me back my straws. I can't deal with this. What are we doing? But the science is clear, apparently. Plastic pollution is everywhere in our environment, harming wildlife and their habitats. There's also a growing body of evidence showing impacts on human health. We strongly believe we're taking action to tackle this crisis and keep millions of garbage bags worth of trash off of our beaches. So waste management, we do a bang up job. We actually do a bang up job. This is why our beaches are so clean. Out of our waters and away from nature. That's what we will keep fighting for. The government of Canada is carefully reviewing the federal court judgment and strongly considering an appeal. We will continue to work with the provinces, territories, civil society, and industry to curb plastic waste and pollution. We will have more to say on next steps soon. Now, I put this out on the merch store, Ecological, not environmental, emphasis on the logical, not mental, because this is what we are seeing with these environmental ministers. This guy, anyway. We're seeing really ridiculous rhetoric coming from the guy. Yeah, we all care about the environment, but not at the detriment to just how society works. We put a lot of businesses out of business with this stupid plastic ban that were Canadian businesses. Let's see those come back. Let's see that stuff happen again. I would love to see good stuff. And you know what? Do the right thing. Throw your stuff in the recycle bin. Don't throw it in the ocean, as he's suggesting it happens, which doesn't. Could it be true? Is Stephen Gibo going to resign because he's not getting his way? Talk about some sunny ways. What is this about? Well, the Toronto Star is actually talking about this. Justin Trudeau's environmental minister tries to quash speculation he'll resign over carbon pricing. Now, what actually happened here? He went and he told reporters, not under my watch are we ever going to do any more carve-outs to his precious carbon tax. The precious carbon tax, which is supposed to be a behavioral tax. This is what they call it. It's a behavioral tax. It's supposed to change your behavior. Well, it didn't work out so well when they did a massive carve out, because it looked like there was going to be a bunch of liberals switching over to the conservative side in Atlantic Canada. So they gave a bunch of people an exemption, and now everybody's asking for an exemption. We should just get rid of it entirely is the actual thing. Now, Pierp has put forward a bill, and it's passed. It's actually passed through the Parliament, and it's going to the Senate. And this is to carve out for farmers in the immediate, at least, the things that they need carbon tax, or the carbon tax relieved from them for. We don't put tax on fuel, all the fuel taxes that you get for the roads. That's not on farmers. Why is this carbon tax on farmers? It's just ridiculous. But Pierp Poilievre calling out Gibo here.
Will the Prime Minister sacrifice his crazy carbon tax minister and support our common sense bill to take the tax off?
So yeah, it's pretty obvious. He got in trouble for that one. Don't talk disparaging about another minister. Yeah, he's crazy. He is a crazy dude. But here's what he had to say when it came to that bill that passed. Well, he's out there lobbying, which seems like an undue thing for a minister to be doing in the Senate.
I mean, we're against the creation of a new exemption. We were against Bill C-234 when it was in the House of Commons. We voted against it. So I have had conversations with, I don't know, maybe half a dozen, give or take, senators in the course of the last 2 weeks. I explained to them that the reasons why we don't support the bill C-34. I mean, we're...
Well, yeah, that's not what your role is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the somber afterthought. After a bill passes, they get to look it over. You don't get to go in and lobby them, but he's happy to be lobbying all kinds of people. Now, a farmer, this is John Kowalchuk, on Twitter, took to Twitter to put this out there to talk about how this isn't gonna change the behavior of farmers. This is just gonna cost farmers more money, which is gonna pass the buck onto the consumer and raise the price of food in Canada. And this is exactly what's happening.
So if you've been keeping up on the news lately, you've probably heard of Bill C-234. It's pertaining to things like the fuel used for things like my grain dryer and barns and different things on farms as far as heating fuel. What it does is it gives an exemption for the carbon tax on these items. And the fact of the matter is, we have no options to run a grain dryer in the fall. I currently use propane and some use natural gas, but there are no options. So a behavioral tax will do absolutely nothing. And the fact that the Liberal minister Gibo went in and talked to senators and tried to sway their vote is brutal, in my opinion. They're supposed to be nonpartisan, for one thing. But also, the fact of the matter is we have no options to run this. So a behavioral tax will do nothing. We're not going to switch to other renewables or whatever because there's no option out there yet. If you can give us options, we'll gladly do that and we'll gladly move forward on this. But right now we can't. So we are forced to pay this tax just to maintain our businesses.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can share that video out. But this is it. Carbon tax is a food tax, and we need to see that go because we've won here on this case, and we can win again. We just need the support behind this, and we need a lot of people to say a lot of things. So leave a comment in the comment section down below. Go talk to your neighbors. Go say, hey, this is a great idea. We've got our straws back. We've got our containers back. How about we get our reasonably priced food back? So let this be a conversation starter for everybody. Get out there, spread the word, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.